It's funny, how time works. It feels like it was only yesterday I was pacing around in my office, restless, trying to figure out why something felt off, trying to figure out what was missing. I couldn't put my finger on it then. I kept telling myself, it's just a phase. We've been through worse after all. Maybe we've lost some of the magic over the years, but we'll be fine. We'll get it back. But the thing is, the more I tried to fix it, the more I realized that it wasn't something I could fix. I couldn't make her love me in the way I wanted her to. And somewhere along the way, I stopped trying to change that. I stopped trying to force the idea of what our marriage was supposed to look like into something that just wasn't there anymore. I can't even remember exactly when it happened, the first time it really hit me. I think it came in pieces, in small moments that I brushed off as nothing at the time. Her lack of enthusiasm when I'd come home late from a business trip, her distracted smile when I'd tell her about my day, the absence of the kind of intimacy that once came so easily between us. At first, I thought I was being paranoid. I kept thinking, maybe I'm just overthinking things. Maybe it's just a rough patch. We've been together for over 20 years. We've raised 3 kids. We have this life, a life that, to the outside world, looks enviable, successful, even perfect. I thought maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe it's just the stress of everything. The kids, our careers, the weight of it all. But over time, I stopped misreading. I stopped ignoring the truth, even though it was hard to face. I began to understand something I hadn't allowed myself to understand before. She doesn't love me the way I need her to. And I'll admit, when the realization first hit me, it felt like a punch in the gut. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to ask what had gone wrong. But I didn't. I didn't ask. I never asked. I never confronted her about it because somewhere deep down, I knew that it wasn't her fault. It wasn't about her changing or about anything that could be fixed with a conversation. I had already spent years trying to talk us through it, trying to get her to see what was missing. But the truth was, the love I wanted from her simply wasn't there anymore. Not in the way I had expected, not in the way I needed. And so, I let go of the questions. I stopped looking for answers that I knew weren't going to come. The thing is, I've always been a man of logic. I'm not given to flights of fancy or emotional outbursts. I built my career on this fact, that I can focus. I can make decisions based on what I know, not what I wish were true. So it was almost inevitable that I would reach the conclusion I did, that this wasn't a problem I could solve. This was the way things were. And so, I started looking at it differently. I began to accept the reality of it. The silence between us wasn't something to be fixed. It was something to be understood. In a way, it wasn't even about her anymore. It became about me. About understanding what I wanted from all of this. From life. From marriage. From myself. When you've been with someone for as long as we've been together, you stop questioning the small things. You stop asking where the passion went, where the spark fizzled out. Those things aren't even important anymore. You just want stability. You just want something you can hold on to. You want the quiet, not the drama. You want the reassurance that no matter how much time passes, how many changes come, you have each other. But I learned something along the way. Stability doesn't always mean love. And maybe it never did. Maybe for me, I mistook stability for connection, mistook routine for deep, unbreakable affection. I always thought that love would be there, that it would evolve into something even stronger as we got older. But what I didn't anticipate was that love doesn't necessarily get stronger with age. It can fade, or it can just become something different, something quieter. And strange as it sounds, I've come to realize that's not a tragedy. It just is. I think, if I'm being honest, I spent too long waiting for things to go back to the way they were, holding on to a version of us that didn't exist anymore. I was so desperate for the kind of love I thought we were supposed to have, fierce, passionate, timeless, that I ignored the love that was actually there, the respect, the partnership, the loyalty. And maybe it wasn't the kind of love I had dreamed of when I was younger, but it was real. It was steady. It was the kind of love that kept us together, kept us raising our kids, kept us moving forward despite the changes and disappointments and years that piled up. But that realization didn't come overnight, and I never questioned her about it. I never asked her if she still loved me. I didn't want to know the answer because I already knew it in my gut. It wasn't an easy thing to admit to myself, but the more I thought about it, the more I understood. I didn't need her to love me in the way I once imagined. I needed to learn how to love myself in a different way. And that's what I did. I focused on the things I could control. I focused on my career, the work I had built over decades, the legacy I'd created. There were days, I admit, when I wondered what I was doing, what this was all for. But then I'd look at the results. I'd look at the company I had helped build, the people I worked with who trusted me, who relied on me, who respected me. I'd look at the numbers, the growth, the success, and I realized that I had spent so much of my life striving for validation from the wrong places, from the wrong people. I had built something that mattered. I had built something that was mine, and I was proud of it. I stopped relying on her for affirmation or for any kind of emotional support beyond what we shared as co-parents. The truth is, I didn't need her to affirm me anymore. I had already found my own worth in the work I'd done and the life I had created. And then there were the kids, the three of them, each so different, each so remarkable in their own way. Watching them grow, seeing the people they were becoming, made me realize something even more important. That my job as a father wasn't to be perfect. It wasn't to be the ideal husband or the perfect partner. It was to be present, to show up, to be there for them in ways that mattered, in ways that wouldn't leave them wondering if I was around only for the right reasons. My role as their father didn't require me to be some version of a man that fulfilled some emotional need of my own. My role as a father required me to show them love in a real, tangible way, to guide them, teach them, make sure they knew I was in their corner no matter what, and I'm good at it. I'm good at being a father. I'm good at being the provider, the protector. I've found my place in their lives. I don't need to be the emotional center of the family anymore. I've come to terms with that. I'm enough as I am. Maybe, if I'm being brutally honest, I was always more in love with the idea of love than with her, or with anyone. I've always been driven by ambition, by a desire to build, to grow, to leave my mark on the world. I've built a career that I can be proud of. I've raised 3 children who are turning into remarkable young adults. I have a life that's my own. I don't need anyone to define me, to make me feel like I'm worthy. I've already done that for myself. And yet the truth is, this is the life I built. I may not have gotten the love I thought I needed, but I got something else instead. I got respect. I got partnership. I got a family. We've raised 3 kids who have the potential to do something meaningful with their lives. And maybe that's the most important thing in the end. I might not have the kind of love I thought I'd have, but I'm still here, still standing. And that counts for something. There's a quiet acceptance in that, I suppose. A quiet satisfaction. Not the kind of satisfaction I thought I would feel, not the one I imagined in those early years of our marriage, but a kind of peace nonetheless. I've come to understand that life doesn't always follow the script you write for it. Sometimes it takes unexpected turns, and you just have to keep moving forward, figuring out where your footing is and finding your own path forward. You don't get to pick what you have, but you can still choose how you move through it. We're here, after all, together, separate in a way, but still moving forward.